Hello, I'm going to be talking with you today about the stress and strain that is caused by perimenopause and menopause on our relationships. We'll be looking at romantic relationships, friendships, our family members, and also sometimes our coworkers. My name is Katie Ressler. I'm a licensed professional counselor originally from the United States, living in Munich, Germany, and I tend to help high achieving couples who are looking to rebuild their relationship after 10 plus years of being together. Now, again, today we're going to be looking at all relationships, but I really want you to think about this phase of your life and how you're noticing the relationships in it starting to shift. Often we can say, oh, well, they're doing this and I'm having more reactivity towards this person. And we can see sort of the triggers around us, but I really want you to think about the relationships in your life. How are they changing? What are you noticing? How are you showing up differently in relationships? And one of those pieces is, what is the capacity that you have for being present in those relationships? Are you noticing changes in your own identity and even reactivity, right? That are starting to make it so that relationships start to feel a little more like sandpaper when they used to feel like silk. So take a moment and think about that. How have your relationships changed in the different areas of your life? Do you like them? Do you like how they're changing? Or are you finding challenges with it? Are you kind of feeling a step back of, this isn't really what I want. I don't really like the route that we're taking together in this friendship or relationship. What often happens is we're going through the time of perimenopause and into menopause is we have these periods of feeling a little less in control of ourselves. We have a lower frustration tolerance for the things that are happening around us, which leads us to be more reactive or to say things we probably wouldn't have said in the past, right? I often, when I work with couples, I'm finding that the women are in this state of, I'm not willing to put up with what I used to put up with. And it's not just in their romantic relationships. Because often as we're going through this physical change in our bodies, we're also mentally and emotionally going through a reassessment of our lives. And we're saying, what do I want for these next several decades? What is it that I see about myself that I'd like to change? And I often think of this phase kind of like being in a cocoon, right? We go from this caterpillar to being in a cocoon to this butterfly. And in that phase of cocooning, there can be a lot of stress in relationships as people around us don't understand what we're doing. And one of the greatest tools that I talk with my clients around is how to communicate your needs in this phase of life. Not preemptively, because often we don't really know what they're going to be, but really being able to be more aware to assess what you need so that then you can show up in your relationships in the ways that feel aligned with the energy you have, with the time you have, really with your emotional capacity. Because as we do this time of reassessment, and as our brains are changing, our bodies are changing, our capacity, even for others' emotional and mental needs, may not be there. So how do we still have deep, meaningful relationships the way we want them to when we're changing? And we don't know what tomorrow will look like, and we don't know a week from now or a month from now, right? It's this sort of feeling like a roller coaster, and yet it is a natural part of our lives. So how do we better prepare our relationships for this? And how do we also sit more present in them? And I think one big piece is really having honest conversations with those who matter to us about the shifts and changes we're experiencing. Being willing to be vulnerable about the things that we're uncertain about, the changes about us we're not sure if we like, but that are occurring. One of the ways I like to teach individuals about how to really assess who are the people to have these conversations with, right? Because some are not going to be our people. Maybe they were 5-10 years ago, but now they're not. Because I like them to draw on a piece of paper sort of this diagram where this is you in the center. And each ring, think of them as like your inner circle, kind of like that second level of the inner circle, the outside circle. And if you have more space on your paper, you can do a fourth circle. And that's kind of like acquaintances and just people more on the outside. Those might be more like coworkers. But I want you to think about, and you can write inside of here, who are those people in the inner circle? And then that second level, who are those people? And then that third level, who are those people? And you might find that as you reassess some of these relationships, you find somebody who used to be in that inner circle, level 1, needs to come out to level 2, because really you guys can't meet each other's needs in the friendship or the relationship anymore. Or somebody who was at level 3, you're realizing, wow, we're kind of in the same phase of life. And actually, we have a lot of stuff we could really get to know each other more on. I want to bring them to level 2 and eventually, hopefully, level 1. As you do that, then you can see in that inner circle the people you want to have those vulnerable, honest conversations about. Here's the stuff I'm experiencing. And I realize this will cause a stress and a strain on our relationship. And more than likely, they're going to just be grateful for the honest conversation. They're going to be grateful for your ability to, make them aware and to open the space for conversations. For some of you, it might be your child that you say, hey, I actually really need to explain what's happening to me right now. Or your best friend or your partner. And you sit down with them and you just say, I'm noticing these changes in me. Taking ownership can be half the battle for people. Like, wow, thank you for seeing that you've been like this. Thank you for really identifying that this is impacting me or our relationship. Because then they can say, yeah, and I know I've been more reactive to you too. Or I have been dismissive. Or I haven't always been understanding. I haven't given you the grace that you give me in my challenges. This is the key to being able to help those relationships still thrive as we go through these phases of our lives. When it comes to coworkers, it's really assessing the people that you're working with closely on your team or your boss and being able to say, what's an appropriate way to explain, hey, sometimes I'm going to drop the ball. It's not intentional. Sometimes I'm going to be forgetful. Sometimes it's kind of this foggy brain thing that happens. And it's not that I'm incapable. It will feel that way to you. I just need a little bit longer to think through it, but I still be able to follow through. Or, hey, there might be days where I need to take a mental health day and I will not be here, but I'll be back on Monday ready to go, right? These types of conversations can still occur in our working environments with key people that need to know. It's kind of a need to know basis, right? Need to know this information because it directly impacts them. You don't have to say it's because of this or this. You can just say, hey, I'm noticing some changes in myself and here are the things that I'm seeing. And I'm open to you giving me feedback or, helping with reminders and such, but I don't think this needs to be something everybody in the team knows. These types of conversations, again, are really, really helpful and give a sense of transparency where trust can continue to be built. When it comes to friendships, often we are friends with people in similar age ranges or life cycles as us. So it's how do we give each other grace as we go through this together, right? How do we understand that there are days where it's going to feel like sandpaper, not silk? And what is kind of that key word we can use when it's just a really stressful, bad day and I'm probably going to just be reactive? Is it porcupine? I'm a porcupine today. Let's just talk tomorrow, whatever it might be, to help create healthy boundaries that don't have to be forever, but allow for some protection around the relationship as you feel shifts within yourself. Okay, I hope you found this helpful, and please make sure to do this diagram where you're able to really assess who are the ones that are worth talking to really putting those healthy boundaries around that relationship, communicating vulnerably and effectively what your needs are going to be, and also listening to what their needs are too, so that you guys can have that equal partnership as you work on things.